IPMNation.com.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
All Natural Being. Warning, All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Thank you. We are into hour 13. You know, it's funny. Just right. I was talking to Wayne Noel about it today. I need to make a list of all the things. So I'm looking down here at my list and my eyes, I just totally swapped. So my good friend, a dear friend, I can't wait to speak to her. She's going to join us for the hour here in a little bit. And I just swapped those in my mind. So I said, oh, don't worry. I'll be just a couple minutes over because Matt will understand. He's used to me being late for a call time. And I actually had read the wrong card. So my apologies. And yes, you are on from 11 to 12 o'clock, my dear friend. Thank you so very much for putting up with me. Sorry for the snafu. And welcome back to All Natural Being, the 24-hour marathon. Believe me, right about now, I wish I could say, oh, welcome to the 12-hour marathon. It'd be over. Yeah. I've been having a popsicle, washing my face. Oh, thanks to Kelly, brushing my teeth. Don't want to go to bed and not brush your teeth and leaving all that sugar on it. So I'd be going right now, and it'd be the 12 hours, and I'd be done. But it's not in the cards for me. I don't know what happens to me. I say all the time, right? Just crazy. This whole idea of coming up with a 24, right? What are you doing? A 24-hour thing. You got to be kidding me. But no, that's it. Brian had to do that, right? So we're in the middle of it right now. Thank you so very much for joining us. If you've been with us all day, we super appreciate it. Let me turn this down. Say hello to everyone. Patricia, thank you so very much for joining. We are waiting on your call, my dear friend. Lots to talk about this evening. Sorry I messed up the time schedule there. Thank you for putting up with it. Oh, here she goes. Good evening. I can hear my own voice going, sorry, I messed up. So let me apologize both in person. So you know what happened, Patricia, is I looked down and I'm thinking, could I pull this off as a 12-hour gig? Do you think anyone would fall for that? And then I go, no, stand up.
You can always go for it.
It is so great to hear your voice. I've been looking forward to this all day. And then because the internet's been cut. I don't know what's going on, but I think a lot of these young upstarts that live in my neighborhood, I think they've finally gone to bed because I don't see the internet. Yeah, right, exactly. Get off my internet.
The old lady's on the phone now.
What would you know about being old? So I really have, let me move my plate of pickles. I really have looked forward. I'm going to get my chair. Ashley came down and said, now you're sitting, right? We don't want you to push too much. What, like 36 hours? Yes, I'm sitting. So
sit down, get your water.
I know, get my water, get ready to go. So here, can I tell, and people are going to go, Bri, you just can't tell Patricia how much you love her on the radio and on air and on Facebook and everything else. But
I can tell you how much I love you.
Well, thank you, my friend. And one of the things is the people are going to say, really, Bri, you've got 10 hours and 46 minutes left. It's after 11 o'clock at night, and you've decided that you two are just going to talk about your friendship. Well, let's not tell them why for a couple more minutes, but let's just focus on our friendship and how it grew, and then we'll say why we think it's so important. How does that sound like a good way to do this?
That's wonderful. I was thinking about this before I made the call. I said, what are we going to talk about? I'm hearing all about this great hydrogenated water, cleaning your teeth, and all the things. And I'm going, oh, okay. I'm going to get on the phone and go, hi, my name is Pat, and I'm a friend of Brian.
Oh, look at the time. Boy, time flew. Look, I even looked at the wrong wrist like I had a watch on. Time flew. But let me say this. I think because if more people could be a fly on the wall of the Pat and Brian show, they would be, they'd be blown away. They'd go, there's no way, because I'm about to say something, and you've heard me say it before, but I mean it from the bottom of my being. Patricia is a woman that can go from snowflake to avalanche in under 4 seconds. And you do not want to be on the wrong side of Patricia. And so we could talk about this stuff that I don't even want to mention on air because I don't have your permission to even talk about it. But the thing about it is that in a lot of ways, Patricia, you and I, we don't necessarily view politics the same way. There's a lot of different things that we may not view the same way. But we've always respected each other's opinion, that no matter what, I can't imagine either one of us could say something that would cause the other one not to call him back. No,
I know.
I just don't get it.
Brian, it's like no matter what you say, no matter how different we are in our thought process, I think we both want the same thing for, let's just say, for our country right now, since I've listened to the past week of hell on earth for, dumping on a president that I don't care about.
Right.
But at the same time, there's things you respect in a man whom was a war hero. Yes, I'm not sure I cared about him as a war hero that much, but I cared about some other things he did. And what you and I are able to do is say, okay, we disagree on this, but we agree on that. And it's very, I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say it. It's very John McCain. We understand that we can compromise, we can think, we can say things, and you can teach me something, and I can teach you something. I'm not sure what I can teach you. I do know you can teach me a lot.
And I feel the same about you, but now here's the thing, and I'll be able to lay it off that it's late at night, that I was able to lay this off, that I was really excited to talk about talk with my dear friend Patricia, and it's well within the scope of the redirect, as you know from your lawyer circles, well within the scope of the redirect. But this John McCain thing is driving me nuts. And, just between you and me and, right? How many people are really going to be listening at whatever time it is, 11 o'clock, this and that, right? How many people? It's driving me absolutely insane. And can I share with you why?
Sure.
So,
please do.
And I know 2 or 3 people that have begged me not to say this, right? And they're just going to go, I can't believe you said it. So here's the thing. Joe Biden stands up at the funeral. Well, John McCain could teach us a lot of things. Here's what I don't get. You are supposedly, one of the lions of the Senate. You stand for the Constitution. You're this, you're that. We can all learn from you. But before he checks out, he disinvites or uninvites or makes sure that a president doesn't come. He disinvites or uninvites his former vice presidential candidate with him, who apparently, as best I can tell, never had a bad word to say about him. He disinvites the campaign manager. And did I see a report? 3 or 4 people in his staff from his run-up to president, and he lost. So he had a chip on his shoulder, and he disinvited all these people from his funeral. And then Joe Biden says, well, we can learn a lot from him. What? How many people to disinvite to your funeral? My hope for Senator McCain is he's gone on to the afterlife. He's gone home, and he realizes how silly this whole thing was, right? I hope he's happy, and I just don't.
I, in a sense, I think part of me says he was trying to drive a point home about compromise and people getting along together. You know, picking up two presidents who had bested him in a campaign.
Okay.
Things like that. But what really, you know, and there's nothing, you know, firstly, nothing, you know, but at least the Trump sent Ivanka and Jared Trump were there. And some people say not. But they were there at the behest. The McCain family wanted them there. It's just, I'm not sure. It was just, there was a lot of back and forth on things. And it just, damn it, it just exacerbates what's going on.
I think so.
In this country.
I think so. Well, can I ask you a question, though, Patricia, because you're smarter than I am. Why?
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Oh, please stop. You. Please. Why say, oh, I don't want Sarah Palin there? And forget about I can see Russia from my back porch, right? Forget about all that drool. Why would you uninvite
on him?
Oh,
I don't think she was.
Okay.
I don't think she was a pick of his.
No, but why would you uninvite her?
I don't think it was anything. I don't think he disinvited her.
Okay.
I don't think he invited her. He planned his funeral. I think it was just a matter of she's not somebody at my funeral.
Okay.
He loved Joe Biden. Joe Biden. He took care of Joe Biden's kids at one point
Absolutely.
in time, I think.
Hey, well, listen, I've had a brain tumor too. Now, Senator McCain obviously had brain cancer. I was very fortunate that mine wasn't cancerous, but I had a tumor. So I get it. But here's what I hope. I hope that if you're going to be an elder statesman, if you're going to believe in the First Amendment, if you're going to say, well, you know, I don't hold a grudge, then to have a laundry list of people that aren't invited to your funeral, it just seems to me you take that chip on your shoulder to the next life. And I don't get it.
The case? Because
I don't know.
Maybe somebody else said this is the laundry list of people.
Could be.
He may not have said anything like that. He might have just said, he might have just gone like Obama said, Barack Obama said. He called me. I was a little surprised. I wasn't expecting this phone call.
Right.
And here he wants me to speak at his funeral.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Isn't this the last laugh? Two people
Right.
who bested him and he really wasn't fond of, and who beat him, make them say good things about him.
Maybe you know what? I stand corrected, or I sit corrected now that I'm in a chair. Maybe that was it. Maybe I misunderstood it. Can I ask you another question? Since you're on top of this as well, I heard something the other day. Let me say hello to Jenny and Janile. Thank you for joining us here at All Natural Being. I'm with my good friend Patricia. So I heard the other day that the governor of Arizona was going to see if his daughter or someone else from the McCain family wanted to finish out his Senate seat?
Well, no, I would think the first person, if they're going to do that, if they're going to follow the protocol of the past,
Okay.
I'm not saying it's written in law,
Right.
but many people in the past have always been, they choose the wife. They ask the wife, Cindy McCain, to become the senator.
She's too smart
Is
for
that going to happen?
No, she's too smart
She
to
may
take that
not
job.
want to.
Right. She's always struck me as a smart woman. She'd be like, don't even bother. I'll send your call right to voicemail. I'm telling you right now, if you call me.
You don't know what
Right.
but that's usually the court. I'm trying to think. It was he was a senator who was lost in a plane crash over Alaska, and she was a southern senator for many years, a woman. And she, that's what happened. That's how the women first became senators, other than Collins and Snow, who just retired the last time. And it's a lovely gesture.
Sure.
But we are at a point now where I see it's just so painful. I don't watch the news very much anymore. A year ago, I would have been more up on what's going on.
Right.
Now it's like, I know we've got 1,400 prosecutors gunning for anybody whose name is Trump or anyone who's dealt with the Russians. And I'm not saying they're not there, because I expect to see a lot of indictments come down in the next month.
Okay.
But, it's just like, what is going on? Everybody hates everybody?
Sure. Well, you've heard me say before, Patricia, everyone's a hothead wrapped in thin skin. And I think if they would look at you and me and go, we clearly have, no, but not on all things, right? I don't want to make it sound like we're the Hatfields and McCoys.
No, you and I was thinking about this, and I got to tell you, I was thinking, and this, I'm taking back to something that has nothing to do with politics.
Okay.
The first time you and I ever spoke was I posted something on Facebook about, and this was October 21st, 2013. My brother is ill. I just got to get out of here. And I'm going for a walk, and I'm not coming back. I came home, and there were 2 phone messages for me. One was you, and one was a friend of mine from college. Both of you wanted to know, Pat, what is wrong? What can we do to help you? And that was, I told you, my brother was dying of cancer. And he died a month later. He died November 17th. And it was it was one of those things that was, I didn't know he had cancer. He didn't know it, and it all fell into place. But that was, you reached out to me. People don't reach out to each other anymore. And this is what bothers me in this country.
Well, and I don't know. So what do we do about that, Patricia? I remember that. I remember, and I will also tell you, when I get a chance, I think the last time I was in New York was for... It was either Good Morning America or maybe it was Fox and Friends.
It was something on Fox.
It was something on Fox, okay.
We had breakfast.
And we had breakfast, and I had an absolute blast.
And I loved it. And see, I don't think you and I are very far apart on our feelings. We just want things to be right.
Yes.
And that's part of the whole problem. You know, people are going, oh, well, the people who voted for Trump, you know, and the people who still support Trump.
Right.
No, you don't understand.
Right.
My heart goes out to these people because they think they're going to get something, and they're really not getting it because I think he's a con man. You don't. I don't know what you think about him. I think he's a con man. Whatever happens will happen.
Right.
But these people just want something that's going to say, we're working together, and it's not happening.
Well, Patricia, since we're doing this, like just you and me, right, and a handful of people, and you should also know to go out on iTunes and iHeartRadio and Spotify. Let me just say, because people say, oh, well, what do you must be pro-Trump. And I go, look, every day I get up, I'm thrilled that Trump is president because you just don't know what's going to happen. And when you say, oh, he's a con man, and President Obama wasn't, President Bush wasn't, President Clinton before him, so I get this thing where everyone wants to go, oh, our politicians, oh, our presidents, this and that. I think it's more about, oh, our people, like Patricia and Brian. But I'm very seldom have I met a politician, and I've got him in my family, although I like this James guy. I was talking to my producer, Sue, about this guy from Michigan, John James, I think it is. Just a really sharp.
What's he running for?
I think he's running for Senate. I'll have to look in the thread, but really articulate, just a good-looking, articulate former military guy, and so I hope he's not a con man, right? But I when people say, "Oh, Trump's a con man," they're all con men.
I don't think so. No? See, that I disagree with you.
Okay.
I don't say, like, I think of, I live here in New Jersey, but I'm right across the river from Manhattan.
Yes, you are.
Peter King is a senior congressman.
Okay.
He's not a con man. He's a very good Republican congressman.
Okay.
Who works real hard for his district.
Okay.
Works real hard for all of us.
Okay.
Chuck Schumer is a little shaky on me, and he's a Democrat, and somebody's going to say, well, Pat, you're a lefty. I said, yes, I'm to the left of Karl Marx. But,
You're the left of Karl Marx. You put the straight line in the K, right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
And I look at these things and I go, "Oh my God, this man! Stop it!" I want to beat my head against the wall. I think we're all looking. We'd all love to be able to vote for one party at one point in time, but we can't even find. I don't know what it is. What we're looking for at this point. These people, just tell me the truth, or just tell me something that's really, Cynthia Nixon running for governor in New York. I want to gag. She's like, he's this and that. And I'm like, oh, shut up, bitch. Boom. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
That's okay.
say that.
No, that's okay.
And Governor
we'll bleep it
Cuomo's
out.
doing his thing, and I'm like, oh, good luck to all of you. I am going to vote in New Jersey, but, at least I've got a governor I like.
Right.
He's saying, okay, you can smoke pot if you want, if I can get it through for you guys.
Well,
I'll cut your taxes if I can.
Oh, okay, your taxes. Let me. I will say this, and this is great because it's like my own therapy. Like you're my therapist, and I'm kicking back on a couch. But here's the thing about the con men, or at least the con men. Let me start it this way by saying, if we'll get someone that we all can be excited about as president, if one day the phone rings and you pick up the phone and the voice goes, is this Patricia Costello? And you say, yes, it is. And they go, I'm really sorry to inform you, but we have a lottery system in this country and your name's been picked. You're going to be the president of the United States for the next 4 years. Then we'll get someone of merit, right?
I'd love it.
Right? But you get these people that have groomed themselves. I've always wanted to be the most powerful man in the world. I've always wanted to be president. If you and I went to a cocktail party and someone said, I wanted to be Lex Luthor, I want the death ray, I want to be the most popular or the most powerful man in the world, we would pick up our champagne and we'd walk to another table. But we'll elect him as president. Oh, I've always wanted to be president. I want the Secret Service. Right? By the time, what was it, Lincoln that said by the time he had won president, he had already broken a half a dozen of the rules that he had just sworn to uphold?
Yeah. He played every game in the book.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
He was a hustler.
So these con men, and I know this gets me in trouble, but I'll mention this to you right after, and you should know when my two oldest children, Parker and Paige, I pulled them out of school for both the first and the second inauguration of President Obama because I wanted them to see, I wanted them to witness the peaceful transfer of power. And then after the first inauguration, it's a week later that this whole thing about, and I forget who it was, but they went over to play basketball. I guess there's a basketball hoop at the White House. And they went over, and whoever edited the tape, it was later leaked that they edited the tape only to make whenever President Obama
look good.
Yes, and they edited it, even though when he missed, they made it look like a hit.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a con job. Right now, maybe he didn't know that it was done. Maybe there really were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Maybe Colin Powell didn't know what was going on. Maybe all these other things.
That's Bush. That's
right?
not Obama.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying, if we go back to it, right, there's not a lot of politicians that I trust anymore. So I'm glad to hear you're fired up about Peter King. I always like listening to his interviews. I'll give him that much. I just, when you find these people they go in as senators, they're barely making ends meet, and they leave with, millions of dollars in their personal accounts.
As much as I loved him, let's look at John Edwards.
Okay.
He's the guy who went in running as senator, ended up having an affair and running for president.
Right.
And lost everything at the end, I think.
Yep, I think so too.
He's the epitome of what of the fallen man. I don't know whether it was the reach for power or whatever it was. I don't know that. It's just ugly. And
look at Gary Hart. Look at Gary Hart.
Oh, yes, but
right.
Nobody seems to care about anything that goes on now. You can do whatever you want with.
Can I ask you another question? That's a great question. Let me ask you another one, if you don't mind. When people say, "Oh, I'm outraged that President Trump may have had slept with this one or slept with that one or did all those other things." Now, I could be wrong, and if I am, please correct me, as I know you will. That's what I dig about you. I don't elect a president to be my moral, marital compass in any way. I elect the president to watch out for things like, security and the economy and some of these other things, right? So everyone says, well, I lost all faith in Kennedy when he was running around with Marilyn Monroe. I didn't, right?
See, my issue is I don't care who you sleep with.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want.
Right.
But at the same time, I do feel like when you see the photographs, you see the things with Trump, say, and there are others. I'm trying to think of. I should throw in maybe Ted Kennedy. Teddy was more of a drunk than things like that. I think it wasn't so much sex. But I think Donald Trump has well, I think he goes beyond. I was going to say he just doesn't like women, but I think he is a sociopath about things. Huh. He thinks everything he says is right and everything is great. He thinks the world is wonderful when it comes from his viewpoint.
Okay.
And you want to go, no, Donald, it's not great, it's not wonderful, but it's okay. But I don't really care that he had an affair with Marples there and broke up with his first wife, broke up with his second wife, broke up. I don't care about that. I do care about the fact that I don't think he cares about women as equals. And Ivanka, his daughter, doesn't seem to be able to get a head start with him on that. He may try, but I don't know.
Well, that's interesting that you put it that. I've never really, I guess I haven't looked at it that way. I think one of the reasons that I was originally, and that's not to say that I'm not anymore, one of the reasons that I was enamored with someone other than a career politician running for office is he wasn't a career politician. But then he wasn't one of us, though, either. So you have is he a millionaire or a billionaire? What is he now?
A billionaire.
He's a billionaire.
I would rather vote for Bernie than to vote for Donald.
I hope The Rock, the Tooth Fairy guy.
There are people that I could think of way off the charts that would be much better than Donald Trump for all of us who are, I'm not even close to a billionaire. I haven't even made it to half millionaire status.
Well, it's because you blow all your income traveling all over the world every other month. Every time I check in with you, what's the only place you haven't been to? Antarctica? So we'll do your. I know you do. That's what I love about you. We'll do your financial planning later. But for me, right? I love the idea of someone that wasn't a career politician because my opinion, right or wrong, right? And you know me, everyone's welcome to disagree with me. I hope they do. I look at the term public servant, and in my mind, this is pre-tumor, right? This is pre-3 traumatic brain injuries. I look at the term public servant, and all I can see is public siphon. Right? Every time someone says to me, "Oh, she was a public servant." No, she's a public siphon. And I can't get out of that in my mind when you have, and it goes all the way back to my being a cop in New York, when you have a governor that says, I'm going to have really strict DUI laws, well, he has a chauffeur. When you have a governor that says, no guns in my state, but you have a 17-man security force armed with M16s, I think that's dishonorable. I think that makes you a public siphon.
Well,
and I know I could be wrong, right? No one admits to being wrong more than I am. Can't spell Brian without the I in idiot. But you don't get to make laws if you don't subject yourself to those laws.
Well, that's part of the issue. Think about it. I'm against term limits because I think people can vote anybody out of office.
Okay.
But we go out of our way to make sure people can't vote in this country. So then I have to go, okay, then let's just spread it out so people can do whatever they want. Let's get rid of the Electoral College because it really does screw things up. But I don't necessarily think the Electoral College is wrong if we have a way of letting 100% of the eligible voters in this country vote.
Okay.
That's and we go back and forth. This is where you have the arguments from you and me. I think we have the arguments like that.
Yeah. You know what I've learned about you and me? Half the time we take a position, we find out what the other one thinks, and then the other one takes the opposite position just because we get to hang out. We've been talking for 40 minutes, and it seems like 5. But I think that's what we've
been talking for 40 minutes.
40
minutes. My God!
Right? But here's the thing about it: people say, "Oh, In-N-Out Burger is in trouble in California," because they donated $25,000 to the Republican Party. Now everyone wants to boycott In-N-Out. If there was, that's my point. If there was an In-N-Out burger here in Columbus, Ohio, they'd be delivering food to the set
buying
right
their
now.
burgers right now.
That's all I'm saying. Oh, Chick-fil-A. Oh, well, Chick-fil-A. You can't go to Chick-fil-A because he has a religious belief that's contrary to Antifa or whatever it's called.
Right. And you know what? If
I don't get it.
I don't want to buy from Chick-fil-A, I won't.
I won't.
I don't have to go crazy about it.
I agree with you.
I'm not going to ask you to boycott them. I'm just going to say my belief is such that you can't buy from. I won't buy from them.
Right.
But that's me.
No, I'm with you. Why can't people be left to their own devices?
From the conservative community.
Okay. Well, I'd love to hear that story. How so?
Well, I think back in the 70s and things, when, actually, it was my favorite person, Al Gore's wife. What was
Tipper.
her first name? Thank
Tipper.
you.
You're
Tipper
welcome.
With we need to put labels of grade the radio, the text. We have to grade recordings on music, and it's like, oh, honey. You've just gone down the rabbit hole of hell. It ain't going to happen.
Come on. The inconvenient truth? Oh, please tell me that isn't so. Oh, my. That's why I love talking to you.
Why did I even bring the Gores up? Now my head's even aching. Are they really Democrats? Are they anything? Are they? I don't even Democrat. I'm not even a Democrat anymore. But it's like, who are they?
I'm not even sure I'm a Republican. All right, here's the thing. If you're going to make a law, be subject to your own law. Don't make a health care law and then you get the golden Cadillac parachute for the rest of your life plan. If you're going to make DUI laws, no more chauffeurs. If you're going to make gun laws,
congressman should be living under the bloody health care laws you have right now.
No, okay, so why does that make me
a single-payer health insurance if we're going to do it?
Well, we're going to keep arguing about that, but let me ask you a question. Is it wrong for me to think that if you make a law, you should be subject to that same law?
Yes.
Why does that make me a bad guy?
It doesn't.
I don't know. You talk to these people, go, oh, well, they're politicians. They're public servants. They've worked for 38 years for... Oh, really?
Who cares how
they've been on the
work
take. Well, all right. Well, I'm just saying. Right?
Yeah.
If you're a politician,
you, on that one.
you should be subject to the same laws. Is all I'm saying.
I agree with you on that. And it's just like, okay, folks, let's all of us learn about what the real gun control laws are. Okay. Ms. Patricia, who's left of Karl Marx, is going. Let's all pay attention to what the real laws that we already have for gun control in this nation are, and enforce those.
Right.
Then, once those are all enforced,
right,
and they should be enforced nationwide.
Agreed. I would agree.
Then let's make changes if we have to. But they're not enforced.
They're not enforced. And I would say to you, if you look at like Supreme Court versus McDonald, you have the city of Chicago, which had the strictest gun laws. If you were a gun owner, Patricia, and you had a piece of property in the city of Chicago, the city of Chicago said your front yard wasn't your property. And if you carried that handgun out on your front porch or into your front yard, you could be arrested for criminal possession of a weapon. So my only question that I asked was, do you pay taxes on your front porch and your front yard? Like, does the government bill you? Like when the assessor comes, does the government say, oh, yeah, we're going to take the square footage of your porch and your front yard for tax purposes? Yes. Then you ought to be able to carry your damn gun anywhere you want. Well, 2 years later, the Supreme Court... Within your property line. That's all I was saying. Well, what did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court says, Chicago, you get your crapola in a pile, or we're going to hold you in contempt of the United States Supreme Court. It is a constitutional
that body
violation.
Inside the house is what you're saying.
All I'm saying to you is, if it's something that you pay taxes on, and then you look at the city of Chicago with all these shootings, all these killings, all the different things. It's not you and me doing it. It's not law-abiding citizens involved in all these shootings.
No, the other part, though, of gun control and things like that, now we've gone on to that.
That's okay.
Is the I-95 corridor,
Agreed.
Which I'm living in, going from Virginia up to New York City, where they say you can get this much cheaper than that. And as long as New Jersey, and I can only focus on New Jersey because that's where I'm living right now, says, okay, you cross the state line with a gun, and we find you staying overnight with a gun in your hand, and you have everybody travels with a federal gun license, not different state licenses. They can arrest you if you stay overnight because you don't have a state license, and they can take your guns away, which they should, because most of the time they're here to sell them.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's interesting.
That's what I've heard. I may not be completely. All I know is that you cannot spend the night in this state if you have guns and they're not registered in the state of New Jersey.
That's interesting. So let me ask you this then. When you said earlier that there should be a federal gun law that allows you, because you can own a pistol permit, you can own a permit in one state, you cross that line, you're going to federal prison where 5 miles across the other state line, right? It wasn't a crime. You were a valid owner. But then you have the people say, oh, there's need to be a federal law. But then you have the other side of the camp says, well, no, 10th Amendment to the Constitution says that states get to dictate what happens within their own borders. And
what
it's
did
not.
You say on the 10th Amendment? I'm sorry?
No, just the 10th Amendment. They said that, that states should get the right to say what happens in their own borders, right? So
yeah, because they're talking
about,
in reality, the Second Amendment and the 10th Amendment, I think, in fact, do talk about a militia as opposed to anything else. But at the same time, I know we've gone beyond that to the point where we're talking about gun laws for everybody. I just want everyone to have the same laws so that if you're crossing from state to state, just know, God help you, if you get stopped,
right,
you're going to jail.
Okay, but can I ask? Let me ask you another question then, because, and I hear it in your voice when you say that, the law is supposed to be based on mens rea, culpability, and intent. If you and I are in a car and we decide we're going to go and we're leaving New Jersey and we're going to Pennsylvania for a barbecue, and we're law-abiding citizens, never been arrested, never so much as a parking ticket, and we get stopped along the highway, the mens rea, the culpability of the crime would be, now, if you and I were stopping in Philadelphia to knock off liquor stores to get gas money to make it to Pittsburgh, then I say throw the book at us, right? Right? Because if we're going to be Bonnie and Clyde, then we get what's coming, right? Here, Brian and Patricia, we get what's coming. But the intent is what should matter, I think.
Yeah. Trust me.
Okay.
Am I guilty of having taken antique weapons from one part of Pennsylvania into New Jersey? Oops.
No, I don't know. You're breaking up. Hello?
And do I have relatives who have federal gun permits and licenses that picked them up immediately and took them out of the state immediately?
Sure.
I don't know. That could have happened.
It could have happened.
But those are the kind of things that happen. But I understand. And I also know where they say, oh, yeah, you get caught with a rifle, it's 2 years, no deal, da-da-da-da. Once they take a look at your past history, they take a look at your rap sheet, so to speak, and they see you don't have one.
Or the lack thereof, right. Your rapper.
They go, the lack thereof. Oh, Patricia, this gun is from 1873. Yeah, it was my great-grandfather's. Oh, that's okay. That's an antique. That's all right. It doesn't matter. So do I need a gun license?
It used a boar's tusk as a firing pin, right?
Oh, it was one of those things where I hate to say this, but the mayor said to me, he said, do you need me to get you a gun license so you can hold on to it? I said, no, it's leaving here. I can't stand these things in my house. Besides, it's for my brother, not for me.
Right.
I'm never going to use them, and that sort of thing. But this is the kind of thing. I understand what you're saying. Is that the common person should not have a problem. And yes. I think back 20 years ago, we had that world where we looked at things and went, okay, you are this and you are that. And then we get into other things, too, which is, I don't know how to go beyond that. I don't know.
Well, why can't we just go to intent? If you intend to use it because you have a depraved indifference to human life. But, you look at the city of Chicago, and I'll just say as a cop, you never second guess. But what did they say last weekend of all the shootings? They've made one arrest. Find the bad guys and make them pay for killing people with a handgun.
I want somebody to find out what the hell is really going on in Chicago.
Well, I think you're going to find out. I don't know if you're going to find out pretty soon, but they can't keep. It's like a war zone, right? You can't. It can't keep happening. But it's not. The point I'm making is it's not law-abiding citizens that are going out going, "Hey, Patricia, why don't we get a bottle of tequila, split it, and go shooting?" Right? It's not.
No,
that's not it.
I think M13 might be. See, I'm living in a neighborhood in an area where we have M13 and what's the other gang?
MS-13.
MS-13. Yeah, these Latin gangs from Middle Latin America, which personally, and a guy who just jumped into some poor little 11-year-old girl's bedroom in Brooklyn last night to rape her. That kid. They nailed him already. They picked him up already, and that's fine. Go do what you have to do if he's guilty.
Right.
That's the other thing. We have to also remember that, we have the beauty of this country and the pain of this country is that everybody's innocent until proven guilty. We'd like to believe that, but, we're all blaming Trump on Russian collusion, and we think he's guilty and should be impeached for something, and I still don't know what you could impeach him for yet.
Right. Well, I have to tell you, can I just tell you quickly that I take my opinion from Al Dershowitz, and I don't politically necessarily always agree with him, but I think he has very salient points. You can't use impeachment as a political weapon. And,
they shouldn't.
And he says, look, if Hillary Clinton had won, I'd have written the book called A Case Against the Impeachment of Hillary Clinton. He says you don't use impeachment as a political weapon, and I tend to agree with him.
No, you don't. But if you look at what they're doing right now, I think there's going to be a lot of indictments coming down on a lot of things. But I can't say on September 2nd, tomorrow, September 3rd or September 4th, maybe September 4th. But I don't see them finding anything to indict Donald Trump for.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Other than stupidity.
Right.
Of using Twitter or whatever, that's the other thing. But there are other things. You just don't do that.
Well, let me say this. It's interesting that you bring up Twitter because, everyone and their brother now wants on Twitter. I think Donald Trump's at 48 or 49%. I think before I went on air, he was at 49% in the polls because I think a lot of people are that way. A lot of people are hotheads wrapped in thin skin. A lot of people.
140
characters of it. Well, think about it. Look at road rage. Look at road rage. Look at road rage.
You.
Look at and so when people go, well, how did he get elected? Well, because there's a lot of people that are ticked off. There's a lot of people that are hotheads wrapped in thin skin. There's a lot of people that look at it this way. And I'll tell you the whole thing about Vladimir Putin and Russia and that press conference. But then you look at some of the other things. And this is just me, right? Just my take on it. But I remember good cop, bad cop. I remember you had a guy that, as distasteful as it may seem, you drew the short straw. You were always the good cop. Didn't matter what the suspect was accused of. You were always the good cop. And your partner, who, depending upon the luck of the draw, he gets to be the bad cop. Then the bad cop just goes at it, and you go in, try to keep things smooth. And then so when I looked at his press conference where everyone's all upset, I thought, like, you remember Muhammad Ali? Remember rope-a-dope? Well, just for a second, what if President Trump is rope-a-doping Putin, right? Because our sanctions continue. All the other things we're doing, I'm told, I'm not that smart about it, all the other things we're doing against Russia, it seems to be full on, a full court press. What if he's just doing a rope-a-dope? What if he's just a good cop, bad cop? He lets everyone else around him go after the sanctions, and he just is the good cop. Or am I just totally off base?
What about the problem, though? Let's forget about Russia and all these sanctions. In that sense, Russia and sanctions are fine. Although I'm not sure. has my mind spinning anyway, because Russia doesn't have anything other than petroleum and gas right now.
Right.
But we go to Europe, and we got American car companies going, we're not producing the car in Europe because we can't bring it over because of the tariff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is what I guess I think about Donald Trump is that what really bothers me about him is that he doesn't pay attention to people who could say, you really don't want to push this tariff because it will do this, it will do that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to pay attention to somebody who could tell him what the real issues are going to be.
Okay.
You know, there are things that are automatic. There are domino effects to certain things that happen in this world, and it's not swamp incitement. It is just.
You don't think it is? Okay. Okay.
No, because back in 1929, you know, the Sloot it was a Sloot. I was trying to think of the tariffs back then under Hoover that he accepted. And it was like that killed and that destroyed the economy that was already going down the tubes after 1929 and just pushed us further and further into a depression. Now, it hasn't happened yet, and I know he's doing it just to be a tough guy and is assuming no one's going to let him go all the way with this. But, you know, somebody may, like Trudeau in Canada, may say, okay, fine, put it on us. We're not going to import anything into your country.
Sure.
What's going to happen to our wheat? We already see what's happening with soybeans going to China.
Sure.
That's not happening because they've said, no, we're going to tariff. They're going to do this. We're going to do that. Our farmers are getting hit. People who voted for him, I didn't vote for him. I'm on the East Coast.
Right.
You know,
right.
I had anybody else to pick to.
Right.
You know, I could pick anybody else. But there are farmers who picked him, and now they want to sell their soybeans. They're in trouble.
Sure.
That's what I've heard. You know, I don't know. I haven't paid. I should really look at the numbers, but I don't know if the numbers are even available yet.
Well, I think that's why I think it's why it's such an exciting time because you just don't know what's going to happen.
I loved it the other day. You said that we're living in the most exciting time, and I'm like, oh, your idea of exciting is like standing on top of a rocket. It's going to take off and explode? Okay, we're going to go. That's why I love you.
I have a brain tumor, right? So what?
Oh, baloney.
What do I do?
You're just like a little brother who would be, or a little nephew who would say, come on, Susie, let's do this.
Yeah, I think
and
you
I'd
should.
Be going, sure,
I think you should pee on the electric fence. I think you should pee on the electric fence. I think that would be great. I think you should do that. All right, my friend. I have to run because we're coming up on the top of the hour. But we didn't get to talk about aliens, spaceships, coast to coast, because you have other things.
Any one of those things. We'll do that another time.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. Should you find yourself up and early, I have a 5 to 6 and a 6 to 7 slot open.
Since I'm headed off to the U.S. Open tomorrow morning, I have to be at people's house at 9 a.m.
You
may hear from me at 6 a.m.
All right, my friend. Thank you so very much. Darling. It is always a pleasure
a wonderful time
to hear your voice.
With you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being a pacer. Oh, True Fruit, thank you. Don't forget, I need you to go to truefruit.com. A good friend of mine owns the company. And as a thank you.
I want the raspberry chocolate.
The raspberry. Okay. Raspberry chocolate's done deal.
Love you.
I love you too. All right, Patricia. Thanks so much. Good night now. All right, so let's do this. We are going to run to the top of the hour. As you know, my favorite lead-in to the top of the hour. Look at it, lead in. And we will be right back. Matt Connerton from IPM Nation is next.
Hey there, this is Lee Rowley from Sales Copy Academy, and you're listening to the live 24-hour all-natural being marathon with my good friend Brian Brawdy. Keep your mitts off that browser tab because Brian will be right back after this short break with another solid hour of all-natural shenanigans on All Natural Being. Stay tuned.
IPMNation.com.